Hi, today we're going to talk about NYSSMA tips so you can get those high scores. What is NYSSMA? NYSSMA is the New York State School Music Association, and they hold a festival or festivals throughout the spring and the year to test students on their musical abilities and to challenge them. According to the NYSSMA website, NYSSMA sponsors approximately 145 solo and small ensemble and major ensemble festivals in New York State each spring. At solo and small ensembles festivals, students are given a performance evaluation that involves playing a graded solo from the NYSSMA manual and sight reading. If a student is playing an instrument, scales are involved. So, the sooner you start, the better. Usually here in West Islip, New York, where I teach, the teachers give out the forms in January for tests in April. I start talking to my students about NYSSMA in November and kind of getting a feel for what type of music that they would like to do. The music choices must be from this manual, which is recently updated, the NYSSMA manual. And in the manual, there are songs that, some of them are old songs, some of them are from Broadway, some of them are traditional pieces, but they are songs that are challenging depending on the levels. The levels go from 1 through 6. 1 being a beginner, they start when they're about 10 years old, all the way up to the high school level. At the high school level, their testing scores go towards whether they can participate in the all-state choir, which is quite an honor. So the first thing you definitely want to do, tip number 1, you want to select your solo piece as soon as possible. You want to pick a song that's challenging to you. A lot of the students pick songs that they know, and if you're going to invest all this time and sometimes money in learning something, you really want to do it to challenge yourself. The whole point of NYSSMA is to give students something to strive for. It's a benchmark and it's assessment. You want to do something that's a little challenging to you, because the truth is, if you do, you will rise up to the challenge, and at the end of the process, you will end up being a better singer. So it's really important that you can do that. If you could possibly find recorded versions of the song you're going to do, find them. Make sure they're good ones too. You can find most of them on YouTube. YouTube is an amazing resource to find a lot of these songs and listen to them and find something that definitely suits your voice. Some songs aren't for everybody, some styles aren't for everybody, but the NYSSMA manual has anything from traditional gospel tunes to opera tunes and French art songs that are in other languages. So there's really something for everybody in there. And even the boys, they have stuff for changing voices. So there is something for any singer who's going to be doing NYSSMA. They will find something available. So number 1, select your song as quickly as possible. Second, purchase the music immediately. You want to get, let's talk about purchasing the music. You need to get 2 copies, 2 copyrighted copies, one for yourself and one for the adjunctator or the judge. And this is what you want to do. I recommend getting one if you can. Sometimes they come with recordings or demos. If you can get one with a recording and with the demo, that's very, very helpful, because you can practice with that. Okay, get that copy, and that would be like a hard copy of book. The second copy, you can usually get a downloadable version, and your vocal coach or your teacher will tell you which is the correct version to get. They actually have different publishers and different versions than ones that they prefer that are listed in the manual. So what I recommend doing is getting the expensive one, which can run anywhere from $15 to $20, and then getting a downloadable one, which can run anywhere from, I've seen them from $2.99 up to $5. So you get your copies. The first thing you do is you photocopy your 2 copies, or the copy at least you're going to be working with. Make 2 or 3 photocopies of that particular one. If you have a CD, rip it to your computer, turn it into an MP3, and burn a disc. Take the disc, take the book, take the good books and the good copies, and get yourself a nice manila folder. Stick them in the new copies in the manila folder. Before you stick the copies in, if you have a book, mark the pages with a paper clip or with a tag of the song so the person doesn't have to go through the book opening it. Believe me, they really appreciate it when they can just flip it open and go. So get your 2 copies, tag them, put them in this folder. Then put the folder in a very, very safe place that your mom, your dad, and you know where it is, and keep it there until the night before NYSSMA. At that point, you want to put it in your NYSSMA bag, which we'll talk about later, or even better, in the car you're going to be going to NYSSMA in. Third, get your accompanist right after you get the music. Now, I have 2 feelings about accompanists. Having an accompanist is very nice because it does make for a better concert presentation. You've got the real piano there, you've got the accompanist. However, you've got a real piano there that may or may not be in tune, and you have an accompanist who he or she may not have practiced your music or might not play it at the correct tempo. I've seen this happen. It kind of messes people up. The good thing about the accompanist is if you do mess up, the accompanist can catch it and start you over. Second option is to bring recorded music. There's advantages to this. One, you're used to singing it. You've been singing to the same recorded music over and over again. It's ingrained. You're comfortable with the piece. The downside of that is you have to bring your own form of amplification. You don't just want to have your cell phone. If you do have a cell phone, you want a docking station, and you want to make sure that the song is downloaded to your phone. You do not want to depend on Wi-Fi. You also want to make sure that your batteries are charged, or you have charged batteries in your little station or your boombox if you're going to have a CD. And also you want to make sure that you're queued up before you walk in the room. You don't want to have to be plugging something in. You really want something battery powered with extra batteries with you just in case, and you want to make sure it's queued up. Also, you might want to bring headphones to make sure it's queued up, because if someone else is in the room before you and they're hearing you blasting your radio or your docking station, they might get distracted, and I'm sure they will not appreciate that. So either way, make sure you're prepared the night before, and that's going to be on a list that I will have on my website for you to access. Okay, once you get your accompanist, you want to sight read. And sight read, and sight read, and sight read. There's a book back there, which I will also put on the site. You see it on the piano. That's an excellent sight reading book from beginners all the way up to the college level. Excellent book. You need to practice your sight reading as much as possible. You can find, if you Google level 3 NYSSMA, there's a lot of teachers who actually post sight reading exercises at your level that you can practice. I also recommend practicing a level above what you're being tested at, because then it kind of makes it easier. Also, bear in mind that the sight reading is done at 72 beats per minute. You can go online and get a metronome, and you want to practice to those 72 beats a minute doing your sight reading. When it does come time to do sight reading, remember, you have an entire minute to look at the example that they ask you to do and do it in your head before you have to sing it. So don't be afraid to take your time. Take your time. You've got 10 minutes. You have a 3-minute song. You have 2 sight reading samples, 10, 15 minutes. You'll fit it in no problem. Take your time. Look over it. If you only need to do it on one word do, that's fine. But if you can't do it with solfege, that absolutely makes a difference. I think it's very helpful and more impressive if you do it in solfege. It's also better for your ear and for the interval training for your ear. You also want to practice vocal scales. You can purchase these on iTunes. I have a couple that I recommend. You can find them on YouTube. You really want to practice your scales and see if you can find, there are solfege CDs that you can purchase as well. I highly recommend practicing with those, because singing is ear training and muscle memory. So the more you can go through it, the better you're going to be. And you should be sight reading for minimum 15 minutes a day. Just take a few minutes and look over it. You should also be looking at your sheet music as you're practicing singing it or as you're listening to it. And you should listen to the song over and over again until you can hear the song in your head without hearing the song. This is when it becomes ingrained, and this is when you really know the song, and it really will empower you to be able to perform it correctly. Next, record yourself, like I'm doing here. Put on that webcam. Record yourself doing the piece. See how your body language is. Like, if you're all, oh, again, you're all scared. No one wants to see that. You want to be relaxed. This is a performance. You want the opportunity. You want to give that judge the best show they've seen all day. And I actually have had a few students get applauses from the judges because I encourage them to go all out and give that performance. You are being judged on your performance. So it's visual as well as it is the music coming out of your mouth. You also want to practice in front of grandma, in front of your sister, in front of your parents. Oh, the worst is in front of your parents, right? But practice in front of them. If you can sing in front of them, you can sing in front of everybody. I still have trouble singing in front of my mother. Not even kidding. Put me in front of 2,000 people, no problem. Put me in front of my mom, it's like I'm humiliated. So if you can practice in front of your mom, or your dad or your parents or your grandparents, or even like a pet, very helpful. Or your friends, practice in front of people if you can. Really, really, really important. Okay, so you've gotten your music number 2. Number 3, you've gotten your accompanist. Number 4. Right? You're practicing the song and you're practicing your scales. Okay? Also, you want to practice your solo. A good number is 5 times a day. Just go through it front to back 5 times a day. At first, you're going to be not so good at it. 5 times. It won't take you that long. Songs are maybe 3 minutes, 15 minutes. Just run through it 5 times a day. Over the course of a month or so, you should be able to nail it. You'll know it. You'll be comfortable doing it. You can almost be on autopilot when you do it. So that'll help you. Number 6, your scales. Number 7 was filming yourself. Number 8 was getting an audience. Number 9, dressing nicely. This is very important. I actually had a student who got points off because her skirt was too short. No joke. You are dressing for a concert. So you want to wear a nice shirt and you want to wear nice pants or a skirt. If you are wearing a skirt, you want it not to be too far above your knees. You want to stay away from sparkles and lace. If you can afford, you have decent shoes. Don't wear sneakers. Try to wear shoes. Look nice. Like you're going, like if you don't go to church, like if you had to go to church. I go to church. If you go to church, wear church clothes. Or maybe something you would wear to a party, like a big party at a catering hall. Have your parents help you. You want to look very, very neat. Have your hair combed. Also, have your hair off your face if you're a girl. You don't want your hair in your face. You want to be like Alta. Or if you're a boy, just gel it back. Get it out of your way. You don't want to be distracted by getting your hair out of the way. Have your hair neat. Be clean. Have your clothes pressed. You want to make a good impression as soon as you walk into that room. And finally, be prepared. You want to show up an hour before. Yes, a whole hour. Why? Well, first of all, you're going to have to find a parking space because everybody else is going to be there. That's going to take 15 minutes. Then you have to schlep and get all yourself in the room. That's going to take another few minutes. Then you have to sign in. Then you have to find, in usually a high school, where your class is, and then you have to warm up. Believe me, the hour will barely be enough time for you. Get there an hour early if you can, so you can be all set up and prepared and relaxed. So now, it's NYSSMA day. The day has come. You've done all this work. Your vocal instructor has hammered you on sight reading and every little note in your sheet music. You are ready to give a performance. What do? Well, it's your turn. First thing, take a nice deep breath. I'm not kidding. Before you walk in that room, take a deep breath. Just get centered. Be cool about it. Look at the judge. Smile. Hi, how are you? Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Look them in the eye. Be appreciative. They're spending their time. They don't get paid much. They're doing this because they love being a music educator. So give them a big smile and look them in the eye. Because they're going to like that. They want that. They don't want you looking like hi, no, look at me. Hi, I'm going to sing for you today, and it's going to be awesome. So you want to go in with that attitude, and by the time you're there, you should have that attitude. You want to have fun. You've done all the hard work. This is the big performance. This is the payoff. This is really the fun part, where you really get to make this person have a good time. Your music stand. Don't put your music stand. See, I have a music stand. Don't put it up here, or put it here, or put it here, or put it down there. Make sure that they can see your face, because they kind of want to see what you're doing and what you're breathing, because that is part of your technique. So they will be observing that. And you want to be able to see. If you have music, make sure it's queued up. Hand your music to the judge. Get your music set. Okay, now it's time to go. You have a choice of whether to do your solo piece first or to do your sight reading first. Personally, I would do the sight reading first, because then I think it's more scary for people, the sight reading, so you're kind of just getting it out of the way. When they tell you which one to do, remember you have a full minute to look at it and go through it in your head. Usually they are not a minute long. They're 8 bars at the most, so it's very, very short. It's maybe 30 seconds. So you've got an entire minute to really look over it and make sure that you know what's on that paper before you begin and you ask for your pitch. After you've done your sight reading, you can relax, and then you get to perform a song you've usually chosen. By this time, you can just sing if you've kept to the practice schedule I just gave you. And that's it. And when you do perform, you know what? Pretend you're on American Idol. Give them a show. They have been watching a bunch of other frightened people all day sing through their sheet music. Give them a good time. They deserve it. And you deserve it. You deserve to give them the best you have. So, any questions, feel free to email me on my site. I can help. And just get that sheet music, work really hard, do a great job, and have a good time. And there you go. So there are my NYSSMA tips. There's also a list of what you need to have the day of that you can find on my website, or you can email me, or if this is on Facebook, on YouTube, you can ask me here, and I will hook you up. Have a wonderful time at NYSSMA. Good luck.